Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. My name is Sarah Elizabeth Harrigan, and this is A Life Designed by Sarah. And this is video 4 of the Letting Go series. And today we are focused on the difficulties of letting go. And this is super important because, of course, we talk about, okay, this is why you should let go. This is what happens when you let go. However, we have to spend some time focused on the difficulties in letting go because, it is so hard sometimes to let go of things that we know and things that feel normal to us and things that feel regular, right? Something that we've been doing for so long. So in this episode or video, I am going to talk about 3 different things, and I'm going to break them up into 3 different sections. The first section is the easy days, the second section is the hard days, and the last section is the new days. So let's jump right into it. So when I think about the easy days, what I'm referring to is what we're used to. Now, when I think about what we're used to, so many different things can fall into that. And the first thing I'm going to start with is the mindset, right? So, for example, when I think about when I first began my weight loss journey, I sat down and I did this exercise that was about exposing my truths and the truths about me. And what I had to do in the exercise was actually write down my current thoughts and what I thought about myself and my physical well-being and my family's physicality and all these things. And what I wrote down, which was inherently the lies that I was telling myself, was that I had to be big because my dad's side of the family was big and I inherited these genes and I didn't have a choice and that's just how things were going to be. 2, that it was going to be super hard for me to release weight, right? These are the things I'm telling myself. 3, this is the body type that I have. There's nothing I can do about it. Like, it's how you built. Back in the day, y'all, I had a very interestingly shaped butt. My little sisters told me I had a railing. Anyways, so I just thought that that was the butt that I was always going to have and there was nothing I could do about it. So those are some of the lies that I told myself. And then I had to go in and put the truths in there, right? When I think about family, I started to look at my mother's side of the family. My mom has these, like, what do you call Michelle Obama arms? My mom has these sexy arms with a nice butt. Her mother, who is in her 70s, she works out harder than all of us, right? She goes to the gym about twice a day. She lifts really hard. Her body is on point. So as I'm reading the lies, I'm like, well, if I'm going to look like a side of the family, why not choose the sexy side? So boom. Checked off that lie. By lie, the truth is I can look like whatever family side that I want to look like. I want to look like whatever genes I choose to. Number 2 was that I had to be this big and I didn't have a choice, and that was a lie because guess what? As soon as I chose that I didn't want to look like the heavier side of the family, I started to do research into my body type and come to find out underneath all 340 pounds, I actually have the body type that is in the family. I'm not going to say I look just like them, but in the family of a J-Lo or a Beyonce. I chose them because we all know what they look like, but technically a smaller upper body, tinier waist, and bigger hips. So as I started to release weight, I'm like, oh, I did not know that was under there. But I started to look at it like, wow, this is me carving the Michelangelo, right? When you think about that piece of art, he's carving out of a big old rock this beautiful sculpture, and that is the way I started to look at my body. That's how I started to look at my body. So when I say the easy days, it's difficult to let go because you know that, well, I know how to be fat, right? Let's use my example. I knew how to be fat. I've been fat all my life. I've been big all my life. I've been teased all my life. So it's easy to just continue on with that because I know how to deal with it. I've already built the armor up to deal with it. And those are the aspects of us, because we're used to it, it makes it harder to let go. Another good example about the easy days, when I was in New York, I was in love with someone that I had a relationship. We were friends with benefits for a very long time, and it was love with benefit. It was a lot. And every year that I'd be like, I'm done with this, I would somehow get reeled back in because I knew him. I knew the situation. I knew how I was going to feel. And it was easier to know how I was going to feel than to completely cut myself off and open myself up to something new. So for you, I want you to look and see, where is your difficulty in letting go of something? Is it because something is easy, right? AKA those are the things that you're used to doing. So as I think, we have a little guest here. All right, so as I think about what other things play a part in the easy days and what we're used to, the stories and the loud voice that we tell ourselves, right? So we have the people and the situations that we're used to, but most importantly, we have this voice in our head that's been telling us that you're not good enough for so long that you are used to the voice. Think about it. Where in your life have you been struggling to get over something, and because you've known this frame of mind for so long and the voice in your head is so loud about it that you just give up, right? So all of these things, when we talk about the stories and the mannerisms and the mindsets, those are the things that are the easy days. Those are what we're used to, and that's what counts into that segment of difficulty in letting go, because it can become very difficult to let go of things that we're used to. Now, the second portion of this is the hard days, right? So this is where you have you've made the choice to have something new in your life, and you are consistently making that choice every day. Sometimes you fall off the wagon, and you get back on, and then you start to question yourself. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to keep going? Is it worth it to keep working out? Is it worth it to continue to starve myself from the foods that I want? Am I really going to get to that body that I dream of? And those are what I consider the hard days, because those are where you're in limbo, right? You're in between. I know that if I just eat this pizza, I know how I'm gonna feel. Even if I gain another 2 pounds, I already know how to carry that weight, versus, you know what? I'm not gonna have the pizza today. I'm not going to have the pizza because I know that the body that I want is on the other side of not having this pizza. When you're on that thin line, it is so difficult because you're right between, I know that, and I don't even know what's over here, right? And that is what I consider the hard days. Those are the days where you're asking yourself, is it worth it? Those are the days where stress comes into play, and then you start to say, you know what, fuck this, I'm just going to stay the way I am. And that makes it extremely difficult to let go. And these are some of the things that we have to deal with when we're letting go of old situations or old ways of being or old mindsets. We start to think about, is it worth it to have something new when what I know is easy? Another thing that falls underneath the hard days is others' opinions, right? So in between you going from who you've always been, who people have always known you to be, to now working through and doing the work and going through the progress to being the person you've always dreamed of, the person you see yourself as, you're going to have to deal with people's opinions. And most importantly, when I say people's opinions, I'm talking about people who are going to say to you, I've known you all your life, you've always been like that. I can't trust anything new about you because you've always done this. Or why are you changing? We don't like the new you. Why would you change? You're perfectly fine the way you are. These are some of the things that we have to deal with from the outside. There are people who are not going to understand why you're doing the thing you're doing, why you're trying to transform your life, and then you're going to have the other people who don't even believe it's possible in you transforming your life. And when you are trying so hard and you know the work that you're doing, it's going to be extremely hard. It's going to be difficult to let go of that habit because this person is over here in your ear telling you that you'll never change. They're over here telling you that they know you, they know how you've been all your life. And when you're the person on the inside doing all that hard work, it can be very difficult to let go of the way you're being because guess what? They already know how I am. Maybe I will never change. And then you start to question yourself and ask yourself, is it really worth it? Now, the last part of this and the difficulty of letting go is the new days. And the new days are what I consider the days that are actually easy and challenging at the same time. And why I say that is During the new days, you've actually made this new change, this new transformation consistent, right? For me, in working out, this is when I'm working out consistently. And then I'm going into the summer season, right? So everybody knows that summer bodies get made in the winter, and then summer comes along and you're outside, you're brunching, you're burgering, you're at barbecues, you're out all the time, you're spending money, you're eating things that you may not want to eat, or you're spending time with new people, and you see maybe an old pattern or something that you're used to, something from the easy days pops up. And that is where we have to understand what it is to come to or meet resistance, right? Now, a good example of resistance for me, let's see, using the example of my body, when I'm here at Lady Sarah's all day and I see baked goods, that is something that's confronting to me, because I want to eat it. I know it's fresh, I know it's tasty. However, at the same time, I'm remembering that my new habits support the life that I am living into. It supports the best and most abundant life that I see for myself. So every time I see that challenge, it is a moment for me to check in with myself. And to be honest with you, checking in is something that we come to know when we get into the new days, right? In the easy days, you didn't check in. You automatically did the thing that you knew. For me, I automatically ate the cake, or I automatically said yes when old boy wanted to come over. However, in the new days, when I see a challenge, I now have the tools in me to stop and think, okay, my automatic is to eat this cake. My automatic is to say yes to him. However, I know that there's more for me in my life. So guess what? I'll have the cake on Saturday, or maybe I'll have pancakes on Saturday. I'll find a way to satisfy that craving. However, it won't happen right now. And when old boy hits me up, it's like, delete. No response, no acknowledgement, just straight up delete. And that is where we have the new days. This is where you have acknowledged your old behavior. You have acknowledged the easiness of that bad habit that didn't work. And now you're like, nope, I am making a choice in the moment to do what is best for me. And that is the most powerful part, when we get to a point of being able to stop in the moment and make the choice that is best for us, instead of going with that automatic choice or the automatic decision that's based on the past, or the automatic decision that's easy because you're used to it. Another thing that falls under the new days is being uncomfortable. So this is very similar to being on the thin line of the hard days and the easy days, because being uncomfortable is choosing the unknown. Okay, so when we're in the new days, we are now saying, I am not going to go with that easy thing that I know. I'm going to speak up for myself in this moment. I have no idea what the response is going to be. However, I want something new in my life, and it's going to require of me to do new things. A great example of this is, I would just say, my conversations with my mom, for instance. I love using these examples because they're so real and I don't know what else to say. So with my mom, when I was younger, there was a period in my life where I would just listen to what she had to say, and I wouldn't rebuttal because I'm her child and I don't want it to be considered disrespect or insubordination. However, as I have come into my own, as I have come into this space of, I want to have a relationship with her that is woman to woman, not mother to child, but woman to woman, where we can speak about things that maybe we would never speak about before. We can have conversations and disagreements and talk through them and be through them and give space for each other to evolve. That is the relationship I dream of having with her. So every time there comes a chance for me to live into that, I have to stop and choose, because the easy days would tell me, don't say nothing. Just hear what she gotta say and don't say nothing, and then go do your own thing anyways, versus the new days where I can see the easy days saying just don't say nothing, and then I'm thinking about, guess what? Every time that I say something, not only am I growing, but I'm also forcing her to grow. I'm forcing her to now learn me. I'm forcing her to learn herself and to develop new habits in having healthy communication between us. And in order to in order to have those results that we want, we have to be willing to put ourselves at issue, be willing to do something outside of our norm, outside of our easy days, be willing to get uncomfortable in order to have the result that we want. Another good example, I think this is great to add, another good example is how I would deal with like financial situations, right? So just to give you guys some background, I've always worked for really good companies, always had money. I won't say always had money, but money was coming consistently, right? That's the benefits of employment. And as I became self-employed, now I'm dealing with times where I don't know where my check is coming from, and I don't know how to have a conversation about not having my money on time, because my experience in life was that I had it. As a kid, my parents would pay for stuff, and then as I got older, I had really good employment and I took care of myself. So the minute that I got into a space of self-employment, I now had to have these new conversations, right? These new conversations that may be uncomfortable because I'd never had to have this conversation before. I never had to say, hey, my rent is gonna be late, and I'm gonna have to pay you a late fee. So that put me in a very uncomfortable situation where I wouldn't say anything at all, and that didn't work either. So it took me learning how to express myself and be willing to live in the uncomfortable, be willing to live in the new, be willing to be stretched, right? So when I finally did have that conversation, I was able to understand from my landlord what they wanted from me in order for me to continue living there. Can you let us know in advance if you think it's going to be late? Can you have a payment plan? Can you ensure that the late fee is paid? Whereas the story that I was creating in the easy world was like, oh my God, they're going to kick me out. So then I took no action, and that was more harmful than actually taking action, being uncomfortable, having to stretch myself in the new days. So to recap this video, the 3 things that I find are very difficult in letting go is having to deal with the easy days, aka the stuff that you're used to, the stories you tell yourself, the loud voice that you're used to hearing telling you negative things, or telling you that you're not good enough, or you won't make it through, or they're not going to accept your offer. That's the easy days. That's the stuff that we're used to, right? And it makes it very difficult to let go. Secondly is the hard days. The hard days are where we're asking ourselves, is it worth it? Should I continue to push through? Should I really have this conversation even though I know their response is going to be the same? Because that happens all the time, right? Even though we are trying to grow and transform, sometimes the person we're dealing with is not. And even though they're not, we still have to push ourselves through the hard days to have the results that we desire for our lives, whether or not they choose to play along. And lastly, it's the new days. The new days are where we are confronted, right? Confronted meaning dealing with things that look like the easy days. It's always going to present itself because it is your automatic, until you now make your automatic the new days, the being uncomfortable, choosing uncomfortable, and be willing to be challenged, right? Because on the other side of that challenge, on the other side of us being stretched to express ourselves, to ask for what we want, to do something new, to ask questions that make people uncomfortable, that make us uncomfortable, on the other side of all of that is the life that we desire. And in order to get there, we have to go through the difficulties of letting go. All right, I hope this video made a difference for you. Please leave a comment and some feedback. Just let me know what came open for you, what came present for you, what you learned from this, and also how I can improve. I would love to make sure that I'm delivering valuable content, and I want to make sure that it's structured in a way that you can receive it and you can digest it, is the word I'm looking for. So all feedback welcome. I'm so happy to be doing this series, and we have one more coming up next week, and then we'll be on to the relationship series. So join us next week for the joy in letting go. I find that once you learn how to what to let go and how to let go and why to let go, and you acknowledge the difficulty in letting go, then the only thing left is the joy in letting go, because now you can receive the new possibilities for your life. So I hope this is helpful. Please share, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, y'all.